Everyone, welcome back to another Flames of War battle report between myself and Sherrie. I'll be using a SS reconnaissance company with a few tanks in support, and Sherrie will be using a veteran American rifle company from the 9th Infantry Division. So this is a list that was used against Tito and his SS Tiger Company. So I wanted to see this list in defense because we've seen it in attack. We did our list before the mission, so at this point when I'm recording, I know the mission is counterattack. So it's going to be a bit tricky for the Americans because you need to leave your deployment zone to go and cover the other objective, but it doesn't become active until turn 6. So there's plenty of reaction before the game ends, so be a bit interesting game. Luckily for my SS, it's very mobile list. There's nothing static in it, so we'll have a look at that next. So here's my list. It's 9th SS, so it's a battle of the 9th divisions again, which is going to be interesting. I decided to have a reconnaissance company for a change. Just felt when I have SS, I like to upgrade the infantry to 9th and then leave everything aggressive. So I thought having scout might help mitigate that +1 to hit. So it'll give it +1 if I'm gone to ground because of my scout rule. So that's what I'm hoping will happen. So you can see plenty of information. So yeah, you get the 250 scouts information as well, and the 3 little half-track mortars, which are slightly cheaper than the 4 bigger ones. And you can see in support where the most of my points are. So I've got 5 Stugs and 4 Panzer IVs, all SS, so aggressive. So these are just the anti-tank element of my list. So I haven't got anything higher than AT-11. So against the Allies, that isn't too much of a problem unless Churchills turn up. But I do have Panzerfausts in all 3 of my infantry units. So that will hopefully make a difference if combat happens. So this is just the infantry element of the formation. The rest will be in the next screen. So it is the HQ, and because it's Recce, they have 2 250 half tracks attached to them, and they have Panzerfausts. Then we have a reconnaissance platoon, so that is 7 MG42 teams, exactly like the Panzer Grenadiers, but instead of 4 half tracks, they have 7 half tracks, so 1 per team, and one of the half tracks has been upgraded with an AT gun. And then the platoon behind is just a regular armoured Panzer Grenadier platoon with their 4 half tracks, one of them with an AT gun. And as mentioned before, both platoons and the HQ have Panzerfausts. So still part of the formation, we have 3 250 8cm half tracks. We have a 250 scout troop, so again 2 with 2cm guns, and then 1 with an MG, and then 4 251 7.5cm half tracks. So decent AT on them, 89 with heat, always good. Can deal with Shermans, but also good against other lighter enemy units like Stuarts or other half tracks, or any self-propelled guns these guys can deal with. So in the last few games we've used them, they've been quite effective. I remember when I played against them, they were very difficult to get rid of. So yeah, you can't ignore them, and for their cost as well, they're really cheap, so quite useful. And this is the support. So I got 2 AA half tracks. So with the reconnaissance, these aren't in formation, so that's a bit of a shame. I have 3 Vesps and with an OP, because these guys are going to be aggressive because they're SS, so the OP is going to stick his neck out, so these can avoid getting hit. And then I have 4 SS Panzer IVs and 5 SS Stugs. So I had the choice between the Stugs and the Panzer IV. Looking at the stats, it's a 2+ remount with the SS Stugs, which is pretty good, although I do tend to roll 1s quite a lot for remounts, but hopefully that won't be the case today. And decided for Stugs just for that extra armour of 1. But but the only downside with the Stugs to the Jagdpanzer 4s is the cross rating. But hopefully these guys are just going to park up somewhere nice and can deal with enemy armor when they come in. But I'm going to be picking attack with this list, mainly because it's a very mobile list. I feel they'd be better on the attack, getting some early initiative with the list. And this is the debut section. It's only the SS Panzer IVs today. Use Panzer IVs plenty of other times, but this is debut for SS variant. So anyone who's not familiar with them, they are slightly cheaper, and that is because they are aggressive, and unfortunately they are just trained. It's the HQ that makes them their skill rating a 3+. But I feel the tanks are not so bad being aggressive. It's the infantry that I find are worse being aggressive, especially since in my games infantry seem to be doing the work, especially in assaults. And aggressive infantry, if you ever tried getting them into assaults before, it is very difficult. Even with smoke, they're being hit on 4s, and against any units that have a decent rate of fire, you're going to struggle getting them into combat. And yeah, so that could be tricky to get enemy teams off objectives. So these are the command cards for the SS list. So we have Lucky, always good to have a reroll. Never sure when to use it. Usually just use it for that counterattack when I need it, or that last stand. And we have the best infantry as well for the 9th SS. So this is used 3 times, 1 for the HQ and 2 for the platoons. So that is 5 points total used up on that card. As I said before, changes the aggressive SS Panzer Grenadiers to careful, and obviously across the board they have 3, so fearless and veteran, so that's very good. I mentioned I will be picking attack for this list. I feel it could defend as well, so ideally probably put the armoured element in reserve, and then the Stummels can pop up in ambush anyway and be pretty good, effective against infantry and lightly armoured tanks as well. And with them being careful infantry, shouldn't be too vulnerable to artillery, as I found out in the past, because that's another downfall of aggressive infantry. As soon as a template is on them, being hit on 3s is it hurts quite a bit. So yeah, so I'm happy to defend with them, but I will pick attack. So it should be an all-rounder list. So this is Sherrie's American list, same as the one I played Tito. There's nothing changed about it yet. There was nothing really wrong with it in that mission, so want to see what is could be worked on this one. I feel this list can do attack and defend. I'd rather it attack. Main thing with this is the problem with reserves. The points don't work out quite right, so ideally if there needed to be reserves and you defended, ideally M10s would be the best ones to go in ambush, just for the anti-tank capability, but you'd have to put a fair bit more in reserve just to get them on. So probably best thing to go in ambush and stay on the table for this one are the Stuarts. So we'll be able to deal with infantry with the stupid amount of machine gun shots, and against light vehicles, they'll be quite deadly as well. And obviously they're quite nippy as well, so if they can't go in a decent ambush spot, they can move around. But that's what I think it'd be the best idea. And again, the P47s have had 2 good games now, so well, being the SS, I hope they don't have a good game today, but I do have my AA thankfully to deal with them. So this is the formation. It is a veteran American rifle company, and it's 9th Infantry Division, so their rallies rating, but then their skill drops back down again. So there's 3 platoons. One is a full platoon, and then there's 2 short platoons. Reason for that is originally when I was thinking of this list, I had 2 full platoons, but then that is just 4 formation units. So 1 platoon goes, and then the mortars, and then the HQ, and then it's gone. So it just makes the formation that a little bit sturdier, and they're careful as well, so should be good. And each platoon has an extra bazooka as well, so 2 bazookas each, so good anti-tank capability as well. And then the HQ has SMGs, and then you can see as well the mortars as well. And this is the support element, so we have 4 75mm veteran Shermans. I think someone asked a question about not taking 76s. Reason I took 75s is just to kind of multi-use, so they can dig out infantry, so they don't have HE, so they have HE, and obviously they have that extra MG as well, and against most medium armor they'll be effective, and anything heavier, that's what the M10s are for. I have the priests for good artillery, Stuarts for good mobility as well, and the aircraft last few games have been very effective. Pretty sure I'm saying the P-47s are slightly better than the Typhoons at the moment, just for that extra MG shot, so they have a few extra shots, although the AT is a little less. I feel hitting lightly armoured units more, or infantry more, is that a little bit better, but we'll see what happens with them today. So nice, decent amount of support for this rifle company going forward. So these are the command cards. So the 9th Division All Reliables is that thing that changes the veterans to 9th. So the difference is their rally rating is better, and their tactics rating goes down back to a 4. So as I said, probably better on the attack to keep the momentum going with that 3+ rally, but should be able to defend as well. And we've got the Desert Veterans card for the M10s at a point left. Felt this would be a good card for their special rule with the seek and destroy ability. So it's like the Stormtrooper, if they have a successful blitz move, they can then do a shoot and scoot, but it's easier to do that if it's a 3+ rather than a 4+, so that's why I stay. Could have taken a lucky card, but I felt you might end up re-rolling that lucky card just for that blitz move anyways, or shoot and scoot, so at least then it's like kind of throughout the game you can do that then. So here we have today's table. It's cropped a bit strangely. It's very difficult to take a decent photo like balanced on top of a chair. Not many buildings, only the one farmhouse again, and again a stream. Seems like a hallmark of my battlefields and some forest. So in the end, I picked attack with my SS list, and Sherrie picked maneuver. So that resulted in me attacking and it being the counterattack mission, as we've noticed. So Sherrie obviously gets to pick the table quarter first, and then I pick a table quarter adjacent to that. So like I can dictate where I'm attacking for. So quite a decent map, seems quite strategic. You've got the 2 roads linking up across the stream, so that's obviously what the point of fighting over these this little vital road junction here. So just break down the terrain a bit. As you can see, the forest is running across the bottom edge, going across the river as well. The hedges, you can see, are just hedges. They're just short terrain, not bulletproof like Bocage. We got the fields, again, short terrain. The only tall terrain is the forests and the farmhouse. And the stream, no cross-track to go over it. It would just be a terrain dash unless you're using the fords, which is again just a road dash. So streams don't really make much of an obstacle in terms of the game, apart from slowing you down. Prefer rivers. Rivers make it a lot more, you have to think about it, and the bridges and crossing points become a lot more important and fun to play as well. So we'll have a look now at what Sherrie picked, and we'll just see the overall deployment before we go into the game. Okay, so we are fully deployed, and as you can see, objectives are down. So this is where Sherrie decided to go, in this corner, and I've decided to go from this corner to attack from, thus putting this corner over here as where I place my objective. So that's where it is over here, and this is where Sherrie's one is. I suppose the mission briefing is the Americans are pushing up and have sent some troops off over yonder in this direction. Therefore, the 9th SS has been tasked to cut off these roads as best they can. If they manage to hold this area here, they can wipe anything coming off on these roads. So the Americans will have to be forced to push back and regroup to retake this area, as this is a nice vital road junction going further on. So the Americans have deployed all their infantry here, covering not quite the road, but any path through the trees to the objective, and 1st Platoon ready to hold the strategic ground overlooking both roads here. Meanwhile, all the armoured elements in the form of the M10s and the Shermans are off in another part of the battlefield, and they have been called back, but there are aircraft on call to help out. Some Stuarts have managed to link up with the infantry, and they've concealed their positions so the Germans don't know where they are yet. The recon teams have managed to push up the road quickly to set up forward positions. So with them went the HQ, 1st Platoon, the AA, and the Stummels all along the road, so this will be important to get onto this objective. All the armour's hiding in the woods, as they know aircraft are about, and there is incoming enemy armour. 2nd Platoon is ready to try and maybe have a breakthrough for this objective, otherwise just hold their ground and concentrate some of the American forces here. All the artillery is ready to shell down on these woods to help out everything else move. So I can't win until turn 6, but I can get onto the objective and try and dig in before the Americans start pushing in. And this corner is where the American armour will be coming from. So quite a nasty place to come from, but I have my guns ready. So hopefully it'll go well. And as you can see here, the OP is hidden in the woods, but has a good field of view over this area. The artillery units can spot for themselves if need be, but at least they'll be safe. So let's go and start, and we have German turn 1. Okay, so turn 1 movement, this Panzer IV tried to do a cross-check to get alongside his comrades, but failed. Main event is over here at the moment, so basically all the half-tracks, the 250s, did cross-country dashes, and then a few follow-me's, one unsuccessful, but I am starting to get onto the objective now. The scout unit is pushing into the fields, but the AA is hanging around to provide cover, and then here we have the Stummels as well. So quite a lot for me to get out next turn, and hopefully no allied armour will turn up on my flank and start wiping out these guys, but I have plenty of stuff here to deal with that if need be. So we'll go into the shooting phase, and it's going to be basically artillery. I'm not sure I need any smoke since everything's short range, but the Stuarts might pop up, but I've got stuff to deal with them. So let's go into shooting. Okay, so basically in the shooting phase, I tried the range of my Vesps here. Was clipping a bit of terrain, but failed the range in. I then tried the range of my mortars in fields by here, so when these infantry start pushing forward, they will end up getting into the template, but I failed the range in. So that's 6 dice and failed to roll a 4. So bit ominous, but we'll see what happens now as we go into American turn 1. So in the startup step, the only thing that came in was the ambush unit, the Stuarts. So they're by here, and these guys don't look so tough now, even though these are not the biggest guns, but they can tear through these little half tracks easily. So luckily they have got the scout rules, so they will be gone to ground, thankfully. So let's see what Sherrie's going to do with her movement, and whether she shooting can be better than mine. Okay, so in the movement steps, the Stuarts have remained stationary for now. This wood is some ample cover from the Panzers over here, and we have 1st Platoon and the HQ crabbing across towards the farmhouse. Only other movement was 3rd Platoon occupying this bit of forest here, This platoon remaining still because they have an observer who can see up there for the priests if need be. So that is American movement wrapped up. So let's see if their shooting is any better than mine. Right, well, I don't know what's happening with all of our weapons at the moment. So basically the priests ranged in here, clipping no terrain, so only needing a 3, but failed first, got it on second, but then failed to hit anything under the template. So shocking. The mortars then tried to range in over by here, but failed to range in, and the Stuarts couldn't hit anything. They only needed 6s because these hit on 3s normally. But with range concealment and gone to ground, it made it a little bit difficult. But again, no hits there. So they did a shoot and scoot into the forest. One of them failed, but that ends American turn 1. So now we're going to German turn 2. Okay, so in my movement, Panzer IVs have moved around this bit of the forest. They've seen some infantry moving through the trees, so they're just gonna hose down the tree line with MGs. Hopefully pick off a few bases before they dig in. My guys here remain still a bit too much firepower there for me at the moment. First platoon have got outside their half tracks, then the half tracks followed them up. Nice neat parking order by here, still staying in cover. HQ moved along behind, staying in the half track. Scouts moving along behind as well. AA guns still there to provide their bubble around for when the aircraft turn up. And the Stummels have moved to try and engage the Stuarts if possible. So that is where we have it, and maybe we might get some first blood this turn. So let's have a look. Okay, so we have casualties now. The Vesps ranged in right by here, pinned down 2nd and 3rd platoon, and killed one of the teams. The Panzer IVs hosed down the tree line, took out a mortar and another rifle team, and then they were just outside of range for the half tracks. Don't want to fire my infantry yet, I'm happy to keep them gone to ground. The Stummels couldn't hit anything, needed 6s on the Stuarts, and I ranged in my mortars right on the edge of their range by here. Again, ready for these guys to start moving across, and that is my shooting. Nothing else to note. So most likely we'll see some Allied reserves coming in now as we go into Allied turn 2. Okay, so in the startup step, 3rd platoon has not rallied, 2nd platoon has, and some Shermans have turned up on the road, which is troublesome because the Stummels were not ready for them this early yet. But I do have plenty of other tanks, but these Stummels are probably going to be in a bit of trouble now. So let's see how well the Americans can shoot and also move around this turn. Okay, so in the movement phase, 3rd platoon tried to dig in but failed, so they're just going to go to ground. 2nd platoon remained stationary, still in a good position with their foxholes and denying anything access to move up this road. 1st platoon moving to the outside of these fields with the HQ in the middle, and Stuart's already in range of the half tracks over here, so they're in a good position already. So here we have now American shooting. Okay, so the priests repeated their bombardment down here. They got all the teams that were under it got hit. Luckily my saves were equally impressive, and I only failed 2 of them, and only 1 got converted to a kill. The mortars also did a good job wiping out 2 of the grenadier teams over here, and getting quite a few half tracks, but luckily the mortars aren't really good for taking out vehicles. The Shermans got 6 hits in total out of their 8 shots on the Stummels, therefore there's a lot of dead Stummels, and the Stuarts only managed to bail 2 of the half tracks. All the hits were signed up here in short range, but I managed to push them all back long range. Luckily I was able to equal 1, and then the other 2 were pens, but failed firepowers. So quite a few casualties on my grenadiers early on. So you guys need to dig in and then you do stuff with the others. So here we go into German turn 3. So in my motivation I managed to rally everything, and everything got back in their respective half tracks as well, so that was quite good for me. So now I'll go into my movement and try and point all my guns at those Shermans over there to try and get rid of them, and that will be it. So let's see what happens in movement. Okay, so this is my movement so far. Second platoon of the SS Grenadiers have moved into the woods, into assault range, with their half-tracks in support. Panzer IVs have yet to move. They can swivel their turrets if need be. I do have 5 Stugs that can shoot at the Shermans up here. Managed to dig in the infantry, the 5 teams that are left. The other half-tracks have moved in position to hose down 1st platoon of the Americans, along with my scouts. AA have moved alongside the infantry, and my HQ again is still in the half-tracks. Happy to keep them there for now. So that is it, so hopefully I can get a few more kills with my shooting. So I started with a cheeky little smoke barrage from my 8cm mortars, and this was spotted for by the HQ that was up here, just to give me an extra +1 as I go through the woods. The Vesps, because of this, could not hit anything under their repeat bombardment. Only got 2 hits out of 9 shots from the Panzers and Stugs, but all of it bounced off the front arm of the Shermans. Managed to take out a couple of bases from 1st platoon with my MG fire, and that is it. So we are going to do a little assault, so hopefully I can get rid of some of 2nd platoon, hopefully, and maybe put 3rd platoon a bit further back. So let's see what happens. So in the assault step, I didn't actually take any hits as I went in, and I managed to kill 2 of the American bases, and then Sherrie could not do a counterattack. So the units in assault range, or the assaulting units, were pushed back 6 inches, so they are back here. 2 of 2nd platoon are still in their foxholes, so at least they're in bulletproof cover for now. And that is it for the German turn. I consolidated back into the woods, so now we go into American turn 3. So in the motivation step, 2nd platoon has not rallied, 3rd platoon has got back into the fight, and 1st platoon with the HQ has got back in as well. With reserves, there was always going to be one coming in this turn either way. The M10s have turned up right on the far end over here, so plenty of firepower for the Americans now. So let's see what they end up moving around this time, because getting a lot of big guns aimed at my poor little half-tracks over here. So in the movement phase, both these platoons tried to dig in, but again, the Americans have lost their shovels. So I'm just going to stick it out at the moment. Stuarts remain stationary because they can draw plenty of sight onto half-tracks. 1st platoon and the HQ are moving up, and the Shermans have moved down the road a bit more just to draw a line onto the Panzer IVs over here. And that is it. So again, plenty of big guns. I'm a bit concerned that my AA guns might not get a chance to fire after all, and so we'll see what damage Sherrie will do, because dice are hot and cold at the moment. So in the end, Sherrie concentrated the anti-tank fire on the Panzer IVs and got 2 kills. The Stuarts managed to take out 3 of the 250 half-tracks and bailed 2 more. The artillery, the mortars managed to take out another grenadier team, and the priests basically ranged in by here, but didn't only get a hit on the AA guns. Everything got missed because it was their 3rd attempt. So quite a lot of nasty things going on here for the SS Grenadiers, but hopefully it can bow down some of these infantry before they become too much of a problem. So we go into German turn 4. So my motivations are quite opposite of what happened last turn. So none of the half-tracks got back in, and the platoon here did not rally even with a reroll. So tides are turning by the look of it. So what we'll do now is get into my movement and hopefully get into better positions. Okay, so in the movement phase, 2nd platoon again is moving up to assault range, assisted by their half-tracks and the 2 remaining Panzer IVs. Rejigged a few things around here. The scout troops have stayed where they are. The AA guns have moved around just to avoid 50 cals and 30 cals. HQ's scooted over a little bit as well, and that is it. That's pretty much what I can do. So my plan is trying to put a bit more of a squeeze over on this side, but these guys are a bit too much in the firing line at the moment. So hopefully in the shooting phase I can whittle down a few more guys and see what I can do. Okay, so in the shooting I managed to get rid of one of the rifle teams from 2nd platoon and a couple of teams including the bazooka from 3rd platoon, so I think I might have to go in with the Panzer IVs and try and dislodge some defensive fire at least. Yeah, that might be a good idea. And or do I assault with the infantry first? Oh, I don't know. And then over here got rid of 5 teams including a bazooka over here, and with the Stugs only managed to get a bailed Panzer IV. So this armour is really troublesome now, and there most likely be aircraft in next turn as well. So I'm going to be launching my assaults, and hopefully I can get rid of some infantry. So we'll see how that goes. So I went with the tanks to start with, and as soon as I did it I realised it was a bad move. I managed to get one in, one failed, and I burned my lucky card to re-roll his cross-check, and I killed one team. They failed their counterattack and went back to here, which enabled them to get easier shots on my infantry coming in. So even with the guys out in the open and without bazookas, Sherrie managed to stop my assault and killed 2 of my guys. So they're back here now, and that is my turn. So now we're going into American turn 4. So a bit getting further motivation for Sherrie. She just seemed to be one short in everything. So 2nd platoon again did not rally. 3rd platoon did though, with their 3 remaining bases. 1st platoon failed even with their reroll, but the HQ showed how it was done and they rallied. But unfortunately as well, the Sherman did not get back in and the aircraft are not showing up yet. So quite good results for me on the motivation front. So let's see what the movement has in hold for me. So in the movement, 2nd and 3rd platoon are holding their ground, just going to fire in on the Grenadiers in the open. Stuarts again happy to slug it out with the 250s, they are winning that. HQ and 1st platoon did not dig in though. M10s have moved up further forward towards the infantry, 50 cals ready. And the Shermans, so the guy right in front of them was the one who's bailed out, so one of them managed to get over the hedge to get into bear down weapons on the Stugs, and this one failed, so you'll just see if you can pick off some Panzer IVs up ahead. And that is it for movement, so we're going into shooting again. Okay, so in the shooting phase, luckily I didn't lose anyone down here. The Shermans managed to take out a Stug, and my 1st platoon of the Recon Grenadiers is down to 1 base. So that is a big problem, and I need to get these half tracks back within 6 of the unit leader, and he's outside of command reroll as well. But luckily I didn't lose any more half tracks. Did get double bailed, but luckily my motivation's held. So going into German turn 5. Still just about clinging on to this one. Need to get rid of some of this American armour because it's really doing my head in the moment. So my motivations went quite well. I managed to rally the Grenadier team down here, but the half track did not get back in. Most of my half tracks did not get back in. They didn't have the last stand, but I sent them to the rear. And there was one remaining Grenadier who is still here, and basically he passed his last stand as well, so he's staying in the fight just. So you need a lot of stuff to do, to be honest, to try and get these M10s away from the objective and rejig my army around. This one was meant to be my primary one I was going for, but it looks like it's more this one that's looking more positive at the moment. So let's see what I can do. So down in my little corner, my one of my Panzer IVs did not get back out. So I think I've rolled several, about maybe 6 or 8 rolls now with these forests, and I failed most of them. And because of him, he will be last standing, but see what I can do. These guys should do a bit better, since none of these guys are in foxholes and they're not gone to ground. This lot remains stationary apart from that. One remaining guy has gone to here with the help of the HQ, so with a couple of Panzerfausts, might be able to knock out some of these guys and maybe move in for an assault, hopefully. So we'll see what is possible over here with the helpful hand of infantry anti-tank. So hopefully I can get a few hits and get rid of them. So let's see what my shooting will bring me. So in the shooting phase, I concentrated a lot onto what was left of 3rd Platoon, and there's nothing left of 3rd Platoon anymore. 2nd Platoon has 3 bases left, 2 rifle and 1 bazooka team, which will be assaulted by my infantry. 1st Platoon took concentrated fire from Vesps, mortars, AA guns and scout half-tracks to the point where there's none left and there's only the HQ unit left over here. 3 Shermans are now bailed out instead of 1, so I can't really kill anything with tanks unless they're infantry, but starting to whittle them down now. But I'm getting close to formation breaking, and so is Sherrie, so I'm going to move into an assault so I can go in from the side so only one of them can fire. So yes, that's the only thing I can really do, so I shall attempt that, and hopefully they don't counter so they get pushed away, and make me a bit more comfortable in securing this game. So we'll go into the assaults and see what happens. So the assault over here didn't go according to plan. It did in the sense that I got rid of 2nd Platoon, but the cost of everyone but 1 grenadier in 2nd Platoon of my own. So the battle of the 9th Division of their 2nd Platoons resulted in my just scraping through. And over yonder I managed to take out M10, and then realised that the M10's counterattack with a 6, so that was a moment of genius by me. So they had to break off to here, but basically we're very close to breaking. Sherrie more than me, because she only has 2 formation units left, but I guarantee aircraft are coming in this turn, so there's only a few units she needs to kill and I'll be in the same boat. So we're going into American turn 5. So American motivation, all but 1 Sherman managed to get back in. The HQ is rallied, 6 in fact, really happy to be alive. And the planes have come in and they look like they're going to be getting rid of what's left of 2nd Platoon. So yes, need my formation to cling on at this moment in time for another couple of turns at least. So we'll see what happens in the movement and shooting. So the only movement was the HQ went into the building. Everything else has guns on formation units, and that seems to be the prize for this turn. Kill the formation units, win the game. So we'll see if Sherrie can do it. Shooting didn't go all to plan, so she did manage to bail all 3 of my 8cm half-tracks. Got a lot of hits on this guy, but he saved all of them, and my infantry up there are all okay, and 1 scout car is blown up and 1 is bailed. So the Stuarts did a shooting scoot, so they are contesting this objective, although I only need to stay active with my scouts up here, and I could potentially win the game if they stick around, and that's all I have on the objective up there, so hopefully I can do it. So we'll see what happens. Motivations went really well for Sherrie. So 1st Platoon rallied and then failed the last stand. I only managed to get 1 of my mortars back in, but they passed their last stand. 1st Platoon rallied and survived. My scout car didn't get back in, so one of them was actually on the objective and they decided to run away. So that leaves me with just about enough to stop me losing the game, and what I need to do is somehow get rid of these 2 Stuarts, which I've not been able to get rid of all game, and I have some Panzer IVs which have been very questionable on their shooting of late, so I got quite a bit to do, but let's get into the movement and see if we can wrap it up. So in the movement, this Panzer IV tried getting out of the woods so I can have better shooting on the Stuarts, and he didn't, so I'm going to have to measure stuff up, but I don't actually think I can get him, which is a shame, so this guy's going to have to do all the work. And I moved the AA half-tracks onto the objective with my HQ thanks to a follow me, but his second in command did not fancy that at all. and the remaining guy of first platoon is just going to go for it and try and take out more M10s. And that is my turn, so I'll see what I can do in the shooting. Hopefully with 2 shots from my Panzer IV I can get rid of these 2 Stuarts, and well, it's all in the dice now, so let's give it a go. I started off my shooting with a smoke barrage from the Vesps. They just did it to cover what little I have left by here. My Panzerfaust missed over here. I managed to kill 1 Sherman and bail another with the Stugs, and I managed to kill 1 Stuart and bail another with my 1 Panzer IV, and I did have a few little shots at the HQ. I did get 1 hit, but Sherrie passed the save. So that Stuart there needs to remount to continue the game for Sherrie going into turn 6. So all eyes on this one. Yeah, because I didn't start my turn on this one. That's why I'm not winning the game right now. So, although I do... Will I have an assault is the question. Yeah, I'll go for an assault, because at least I can block off a few hits going in from the side. So I'll do that, and then we'll get into Sherrie's turn 6. Okay, so he managed to survive the gunfire going in again. Managed to hit the M10 with his Panzerfaust, and he didn't kill him, but the other M10s drove away, so he got left behind and blown up. So now we're going to see if this Stuart can remount, and it's all on that for the game. So hopefully they can, because I don't think I can wither another turn of shooting with what I've got left. So fingers crossed for Sherrie, because I wish her all the best as well. Sorry, everyone's scratching their heads and probably already writing comments at this point, but yeah, I've already won the game because the Stuart was bailed out, therefore could not hold the objective, so didn't have another turn to try and get back in. So yeah, I've got Sherrie's hopes up there, but he did actually get back in, but it's not enough, and the planes came in as well, so we got that far before we realised we had messed it up, and I'm pretty sure that was right. Yeah, so there was nothing to contest our objective, because there was only the bailed out Stuart there, and that is where the game is. And as you can tell, it's quite a minor victory for me, so the actual score will be a 6-3, because I have lost quite a lot. Sherrie's lost quite a lot, with literally nothing much left, so I guess at this point the Americans are just going to try and pull out of this area, regroup, because the Germans are in position on both objectives, so the Americans no doubt will come back hard next game. So yeah, it was a good game. My man of the match, probably I'm going to give it to first platoon, because when they got onto the objective, did leave it after a while, but they did get rid of the M10s, and their accompanying half-tracks mowed down their counterparts of the first platoon. So at least the 9th versus the 9th had all the platoons up against each other as well. Again, my German tanks don't seem to be wanting to do anything, and it was a very sad day for my Stummels today, who really didn't do anything. They did get 1 shot off, but they quite rightly got taken out by the Shermans. And Sherrie, do you have a man of the match?
I'd probably say my Stuarts. I mean, they did do quite a bit of work, considering how small they are.
Yeah, the Stuarts did take out. But they also kept you in the game as well, because the Stuarts took out the bulk of the 250 transports, the scout cars when they needed to be taken out, and they also reversed back onto the objective. Unfortunately, 2 of them got stuck in the woods, so if a few more had got past, yeah, there would have been a lot more on that objective holding it. But yeah, it was a good game. Really enjoyed it. Really turned into a bit of a farce with me. Just lost so many guys, and although I felt like I had a decent amount of guns trailed in on this road, I just couldn't seem to hit anything. And in the end, I was starting to lose a long-range battle against the Shermans. As you can see with the result of all the dead tanks, and I only managed to pick off 1. It just seems that my infantry tend to do the anti-tank business a lot better than my tanks do, so I can see me building lists more and more infantry, or maybe having tanks with much bigger guns to stop the Allies having the chance to save against it. But yeah, So that is the game. We have our man of the matches. I hope you enjoyed that one, and again, if you spot any rule violations, please let me know. And again, everyone, thank you for your comments. This is only the 2nd of January for me, so I've read a lot of nice comments on my first game that went out yesterday for me, and yeah, that really does make it worthwhile. Like I of course enjoy playing the game and making the videos, but it does bring a big smile to my face seeing these really nice comments I'm getting. So yeah, thank you, and I will keep on trying to improve on the quality, and this will actually be the last game in my house before I move, so we'll get to see the new studio next game. So until then, everyone, again, stay safe, and hopefully we'll all be playing on real life soon.